Tony, I've studied the large body material for years, and one of the concepts you talk about is something called closest weapon, closest target. And certainly our fans can check that out closer on your website, but without giving it enough support. Closest weapon, closest target is how can you choose a position to be so close to somebody and hit that as your best position versus fixating on a response that maybe isn't as quick.
Right. So
and that happens in jiu-jitsu matches a lot. As a guy will look for the long way home when if he was to open his mind and his eyes, he would see a shorter way home.
Yeah. So CWCT, closest weapon, closest target, is it's a performance enhancement filter. So what you're doing is again, instead of going after your favorite move or like you said, the long way, because that's the comfortable way. People have targets and openings all the time. So if you look at everybody just as a grid, and every part of their body was a potential target, you start to move differently. And sometimes you'll set up a move. So the application directly for, let's say, jiu-jitsu would be to behaviorally feign a realistic effort to what could be a target. The person has to defend against it, and they set up something else. So people play that bait and catch game all the time, but it's different. It's different when you're running through the close weapon, closest target filter, because that's organizing and orchestrating things at a mental level as opposed to a physical level, where maybe you're locked up on the floor and you're going for a knee bar and the guy slides out a little bit, so you go to the ankle lock, and that's how people see literally closest weapon, closest target, as opposed to thinking way outside the box. So we've always used it as a performance model. We've also used it as a protective model, because the really dangerous fighters may be looking at you, in that way. And we talk about the psychology of predator and prey, and a lot of times it's you can have two people of equal stature, and how they're looking at each other is going to determine things. And it's the person, if the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and again we use that as a metaphor, then what is that move that's going to make me react as opposed to respond? So psychologically, if I'm a fighter and you hit my closest target, what that's going to do is produce the greatest reaction in me, emotional, psychological, and physical, put me in flux and give you the best chance to capitalize on that. This is very esoteric and very subtle. It's not so, it's not the same as like, well, I'm just going to charge him and take him down. That's it's not what we're talking about. And so there's some, a few very deep elements. One is to always think of it as a 360-degree principle that says, well, what am I exposing myself to my opponent? So if somebody does something that's telegraphic to me, that gives me, between stimulus and response, you've got a gap time between there, and that's where we make decisions. If I shorten that time, I change the amount of analytic neuromuscular responses I can make. So we produce the greatest amount of psychological impact if we're less telegraphic. And that, in a nutshell, is what closest weapon, closest target can be. In layperson's term, you could probably, as a coach of professional fighters, maybe summarize that. I get a little pedantic, with it. There I go again, using big words. But it's basically respecting non-telegraphicness, choosing unpredictable targets, but not choosing them just for the sake of, I'm going to try this in the fight, because that's a bullshit way to approach a fight. Very scientific. The body language of your opponent will tell you, if body language is 60% of communication, will tell you where to hit the person. They're going to move a certain way where you want to see on every part of their body like a grid. And I always make this joke when I'm teaching self-defense, trying to get people to kind of lessen the emotional duress of being in a real self-defense scenario, is that every target has lips, and you might be fixating a tunnel vision on the person's going, I'm going to kick your ass, and all you see in slow motion is a person saying, I'm going to kick your ass, but there's lips on his finger saying, grab my finger, break it. There's lips on his nuts going, kick me here, I'm open here. There's lips on, you get what I'm saying, is that you got to see all the targets, and then how you vector or triangulate on it is this closest weapon, closest target principle. If it's close, I can hit it.